here's a few guidelines. One, I have date, time, and location because it helps people become present. So if you find yourself in the middle of a challenge, the best thing to do is to make yourself present now. Because if you're in a challenge, if you're feeling anxiety or you're feeling guilt, you're either living in the past or the future. So there's lesson number 1. So write down the date, the time, and where you are.
Do you want us to do it right now?
Well, I'm just going to go over it. If you want to, I'm not going to stop you, but I'm going to do it to show you first, okay? All right. So date, time, location. And the reason why I do this, a second reason is whenever I get done, and I go through this whole process, I look at the time it took me to write it and the time that I started, it's like 10 minutes or 5. And it's like I have literally healed something that could have taken me years. Years. And you're just like, whoa, because in the emotional state, there is no time. So you want to ground yourself by being like, I am here, I am now. It's time to start this process. All right, so rule number 1, it's okay to feel. So denying myself, I believe in positive affirmations. For lots of things, big and small, positive affirmations totally work. However, sometimes things get past the armor. And it hurts. And that's okay. But denying that it hurts isn't going to solve it. If it gets past your armor of I don't really care about that, if it really does hurt your feelings, just be honest. Just be real with yourself. And that's what I talked about, being real, right? Truth. So truth number 1, this hurts. Great. Okay, number 2, shift before you create. We talked about that. We can't change the past. We can only learn from it and move on. That's designed to resolve ourselves of guilt and motivate us to become basically philosophers in our own life. Energy times action equals creation. So the coolest, you'll notice on your top right hand of your page, there's a little multiply and equal. So that's my equation. That's my E equals MC square. That's going to be like my trademark for the world. Simple but not easy. What energy that I act upon determines my creations. If you want love in a relationship, put in love. You want nurturing, be nurturing. If you want to be forgiven, be forgiving. So it's simple, but it's not always easy, because as humans, we're emotional beings and we forget these things. So this reminds us who we are and how to get back to love. Number 5, pain is inevitable, learning is optional. So for the hardcore, if there's anybody here who's like a hardcore spiritualist, yeah, that girlfriend of mine, you might share the same school of thought as me, that this is just an illusion, and none of this is real. It's just an experience, so we can experience each other and what it's like to be human. And that everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. That took me years to really get an idea of that and grasp that. Everything happens the way it's supposed to, because if it wasn't perfect, it would have happened the other way. And for anybody who believes in Creator and that Creator is perfect, regardless of what church you go to or what name you give it, we all have been taught that Creator is perfect. So how could anything happen out of its control that it wasn't perfect? No event, no creation, no manifestation. And this is hard to grasp when we start looking at war and child abuse and deforestation and the out of alignment systems that are everywhere. But there is a perfection in it because there's a lesson in it. And there's a motivation to change it. Without those things being out of alignment, we'd just be sitting on the field all day, not trying to make a difference. So there is a perfection in everything. It doesn't change the fact that it's painful to be here sometimes. It really is tough to be human sometimes. You got to give yourself props just for making it through every day. And if you can glean from some philosophy from the pain, then at least it's worth it. If you look at every master, we call them masters. Why do we call them masters? Because they master life. How do they master it? Through mistakes, through pain. Like all of our best philosophers, all of our most valuable information that we've ever been passed down from one person to the next, from Gandhi, Buddha, Martin Luther King, Christ, John Lennon, like all of their most important lessons came from their most painful times. And the difference between them and the people of the masses is that we wallow in it while they rise above and learn from it. And then they share it with us, and then the ones who are ready to change, they accept it as truth and they act from it. The ones who aren't, they go through the same process. And they fall in the same hole, or they do the same thing until they learn to master themselves. So essentially what I've done is bottled that process of self-mastery. Fear is the issue, love is the answer always. I think we've already established that. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I do. If I can't just go to, I usually go to the 4 agreements if I'm upset. I'm like, am I taking this personal? Am I making assumptions? And if that doesn't remedy it, I'm like, I need to write this down. So I will write down whatever the issue is, and you'll see a little acronym. It says PSD. So I'll say it's labeled as a challenge. One of the coolest things I ever heard is that there are no curses or blessings. There is only challenge. You get a flat tire, there's a challenge that comes with it. You win the lottery, there's a challenge that comes with it. All of a sudden you have relatives you didn't know you had, right?
What does PSD, the acronym, stand for?
Okay, the acronym of PSD, I'm glad you asked, is Portal of Self-Discovery. So let's do a really quick muscle test. Is anybody familiar with muscle testing? Okay. Put your hand on your heart. Take a deep breath. Let it out. Feels good, right? Okay. Now I want you to say the word problem, and I want you to feel it echo through your body. How's that feel? Not good. Huh. See, it's a natural barometer. It's not a positive word. It's not a loving word. Now release. Take a deep breath. Say release. Release. Okay, so that's how you clear your palate. Now say portal of self-discovery. How does that feel? Isn't that rad? Yeah. Portal of self-discovery implies that there's an adventure here. There's something to be learned. If you're crossing from one side of a valley to the other, you're going to have obstacles. You're going to have trees in your way. You're going to have maybe the bridge is out and you have to cross the river. There's going to be rocks. There's going to be animals, possibly dangerous. And so it's easy to look at those things as we go through life. These are the things that show up in our way from getting to where we want to go. So it's easy to say, well, these are all problems, right? But isn't that the scenery? Isn't it? Isn't that what makes the journey beautiful? Is all of those things? So that's a shift right there. That shift in perspective. This isn't a problem. This is an adventure. This is a portal of self-discovery, and when I learn from it, it will close. Until we learn from it, we will repeat it. And that's why we repeat our mistakes. The catch is you also have to learn from a space of love. So to say, well, I dated this girl and she broke my heart. Lesson is, don't love, right? That's not learning. That's de-evolution. But to say, I love this girl, she broke my heart. When I heal, maybe I'll be ready to love again. And I'm not stating that I'm healed or I'm not healed. I'm just saying I'm open to the possibilities. That sounds a lot more emotionally mature, first of all. And second of all, there's more possibilities there. So learn from love, that's learning. Learning from fear, that's going backwards. All right, so what I do, because I'm a very simple person, let's say, for example, what's something that we all could identify with here? What have we all had to deal with as far as a challenge in our life? How about money? Does anybody here not have a problem with money? Let's put it this way. Does the government have a problem with money?
Yeah.
They have the most, right? Okay, so that means the rest of us do. Churches and banks all have money problems. So don't think you're the only one. All right. Do we have a cloth or something?
Oh, there's on the underneath there.
Oh, thank you. All right. So if you have a big long story that goes with this, then you might want to use the back of the page. You know, I have a notebook, a coil notebook, and I fill them up, and then I move on to the next one and so on. But if you're using something like this, you might want to use the back of the page if you have a big long story. When I was a kid, my mom spent money like it was going out of style, and my dad was a miser. So I have all these, scarcity mindsets that I've downloaded, and I spend it here and I don't. So if you have that story, write it out. But if it comes down to just this, boom, PSD, and you know what that means, then so be it. If that alone is enough to trigger that, and you know that something's in the way between you and it, then just make it simple. If it's a conflict, it could be a big long story about you and a friend or you and somebody close to you. Or it could just be the email that you got that pissed you off, and you might write email. That's how simple it is. All right, so money. PSDs. Is there lots to learn from it? Sure. It's not always pleasant, but man, are we learning a lot about energy these days in the universe, right? By watching this exchange of money.
The abundance that you can get
Yeah.
from tuning into your heart and coming from your heart.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting, I urge everybody, my personal on a side note, I urge everybody to find out what their agreement with the universe is when it comes to money. Go on that path, because I was raised to believe that you work hard and you sacrifice and you do, and even if you don't like your job, you just do it and you'll be successful. That's not my agreement. That was my dad's agreement. My agreement is I have to give to receive. And I have to go out, and if I go out to try to make money, it never works. If that's my motivating factor, if that's my E and my EC equation, if that's my driving force, it doesn't work for me. It probably works for somebody else. Good for them. It works for Trump. I'm like, I'm not a millionaire, dude. Don't listen to me. But as soon as I go out to help somebody, as soon as my intention is to give, gates are open. So that's my driving force. So you have to find out what it is, what energy, what frequency of love is your key to your abundance. And for some of you, it's courage. You got to go out and put yourself out there. For some of you, it's patience. Stop spending it so fast. No. For some of us, we need to find peace. If I had made my first company that went under, if I had made that into a multi-million-dollar company, I'd be dead. Because I was in the dead center of an Oxycontin addiction. I would have had an unlimited amount of money and a bunch of fake friends and all the drugs in the world, and I would have died and I wouldn't be here. So until I didn't find my abundance, until I found peace and sobriety. How crazy is that?